In part 4 of Leading Sheep's electric fencing webinar series, we approach the challenge from a producer's perspective with Ilfracombe and Traprock sheep producer Alan Forrest.
Goats were the real catalyst for me to get into electric fencing. I saw an opportunity and went with that to get into goat production and a depot, and just sort of gradually went from there. I had the goats and had to get the fencing up. So, that was basically the only cost-effective way that I could see that I could change from a traditional, wool growing to more a mixed enterprise where I was running goats, and from there we've sort of progressed to, looking at total fence integrity. So being able to control everything when you want to spell pastures, create worm-free paddocks, which is more pertinent to this Traprock country, and also just the longevity of the fencing you already have, because I still have very vivid memories of my father replacing an old plain wire fence with a lovely hinge joint fence, wooden posts, droppers, the whole works. And when I first left school, I used to spend about half a day a fortnight patching up wires in that fence where the roos just annihilated it because they'd been so used to going backwards and forwards through that old fence. So, from then I was thinking there had to be a better way. But I did have a couple of initial forays into electric fencing where I made some very common mistakes. I'll just give it a try. I'll buy a small energizer. I'll use a bit of poly pipe for an insulator instead of buying a porcelain one, which led me to go away from electric fencing for a while. But when I then got started looking at goats and started asking a few people who had used electric fences what to do, what they had done, off we went and haven't looked back, which was basically, 8 years ago. At Gordondale, at Ilfracombe, our first project for the goats, I went basically around the outside of 3 paddocks, which put 9,000 acres behind hot wires, and none of that fencing was new. It was all just outriggers on existing conventional fencing. And from there, Mick Rigby, who runs the place for us, him and his wife Karen have done a hell of a job there in dividing those paddocks up with electrics, and then fencing. The complete northern boundary has now been electrified, and doing some work on the southern end. So with the way the dogs are moving around the district, that sort of really gives you a little bit of comfort in that at least you've got some protection, and if you do get one in, hopefully you've got something to work against to either chase them down or trap them. So that fence was built replacing an old marsupial netting fence, and a section of that was also some old plain wire. And the property next door, and we do too to a limited extent, has coral cactus. So during a meeting with the council, so forth, about control and eradication of this coral cactus, we came to an agreement with the neighbours that we'd replace the fence in an effort to stop it spreading into us. They supplied the materials, but in that, my choice for a fence was just to continue what we're doing and use a plain wire fence with a couple of hot wires. The neighbour had concerns about the volume of electricity we'd put through it, so they came to an agreement on that. The 2 hot wires are actually, I think, 3.8 mil high tensile, which not too sure what they cost him, but they are certainly brilliant at carrying a good charge. So you know, that sort of does relate to when you're planning your fence to, you know, look at the amount of power that you want or require, and you know, use the appropriate materials.